often have so few hearts and safeties. So it's a matter of how much damage can I avoid, you know? And here we go.
Runners are now underway as timers have, except for Pink Kitty Rose sitting at 15 minutes exactly, the other runners have lost their timer countdown and are now counting up. The race is underway. And you notice that the runners skip right past the main chest. And we can actually tell you a little bit about the seed ourselves here because we have the log ourselves. We're not going to reveal items ahead of the stream, but we can tell you about certain items.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're seeing a little bit of divergence already here. You would think with a spoiler race, right, like everybody would do the same things. But in spoiler races, I would say more than normal races, you tend to see more divergence. But yeah, everybody, except for Asder, getting their glove inside Link's house and continuing on to get their Moon Pearl in the secret passage.
Yep. Wolfman and Pink Kitty Rose immediately went to the back to find that Moon Pearl. They know that's vital for any Dark World progress, and they've deemed that as being important for their routing. There is the mirror sitting in the Lost Woods. So that is also a very important pickup. That will give access to Swamp Palace. You may also notice that we have all the crystals and pendants already marked on the tracker, and we don't actually have the pendants on the tracker yet for Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. I can confirm that the Misery Mire pendant is the pendant of power, and the Turtle Rock pendant is the pendant of courage, which is the... Actually, I'm reading the wrong information. I can tell you the Misery Mire medallion is Ether, and the Turtle Rock medallion is Bombos. So those, we won't be seeing those ahead of time, most likely. They're only going to go there once they have the medallion. We can tell you that those are factually the medallions for those dungeons today.
It's really interesting. Asder decided to drop down the thieves' hideout area in Lost Woods to get that heart container. He had to be in that area anyway in order to pick up the mirror. So I would imagine that this is like an intentional decision to try to route in those safeties, when he's kind of nearby. You only lose like 20 seconds, but if that's the difference between you dying, you could save several minutes. And it'll be interesting to see who chooses to route in the nearby boss containers when they're in the area.
It's also going to be interesting to see who decides to rotate additional swords. Like some of the swords can easily be in out-of-the-way locations, and especially if you have 3 swords that are all in out-of-the-way locations, you can have a situation where you need a master sword. So which sword am I going to route in? Do I want to take a risk of going for another one? Is that going to be a difference between me finishing this fight or dying? Do I need this? A lot of the hearts and armor, things like that are going to be basically cases of, do I need this to finish or can I do it without this? And this is one of the key things that's going to come into play when runners are trying to figure out, how can I route this seed? They're going to need to figure out what they're comfortable doing a seed with in terms of hearts, in terms of armor, in terms of any other safeties like invisibility with the cape. Those kinds of things will come into the decision as to how they route the seed.
Interesting seeing Wolfman doing a Chris Houlihan glitch to fill up some rupees here. So now he's got 600. He must have also routed in a 300. This could be very well to stock up on potions. Could be a few things, but potions in this game mode where you might not be able to route in hearts is a really interesting, potential way to spend your time in order to save a lot of time.
I also have a feeling it could be related to looking at King Zora. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, of course, in advance, but that is a possibility. If they're saving up on money immediately, you're right, it could be potions, but it could be a plan to get the item from King Zora. So we'll find out later if he actually does decide to do that.
Asder going for the fake flipper into the screen transition south of Link's house so he can turn in that mushroom.
So the fact that he's routing this in early tells me that this is either a hard or something important that he feels he needs to pick up. We're getting our clean out of the Blind's Hut. There's the magic powder on GamerCal's side. Doesn't look at the item in the back, so clearly knows there's nothing of worth back there. And there's why the mushroom was important. There's a mid upgrade there, and that was the Titansman, I believe, because I think he already had the Power Glove. So as you see, we already have Dark World access 4 minutes in.
Yeah, that's classic spoiler race for you there.
Yep.
Immediate Dark World access. Interesting to see. I just want to call out GamerCal's screen where he picked up that powder in Blind's Hut. There was nothing required back there. It looked like it was 2 red rupees and then a bottle and then there was the powder. So I would guess that he went down there for the safeties. Great idea. Go get the powder, get the bottle. And he opened the other 2 chests, maybe because he wasn't sure what was in it. It could be that he's looking for an exact rupee count of some type. But I see this a lot in spoiler races. If somebody needs to go to an area that has a lot of chests, like Paradox Cave, they'll just open them all rather than look at the log to see if it's worth opening them. And then sometimes you get surprised by like a hard piece or something.
Notice Wolfman just went straight for the powder and then went back for the bottle and isn't even bothering with the other 2 chests. And sometimes it's a case of muscle memory too. You're just used to opening all the chests, so you're going to spend the extra second going ahead and opening all the chests. Plus, it makes sure that you don't actually walk by the chest that actually has something and you misread the spoiler log. That could also be a reason why you may want to open all the chests just to be safe. We are in Mini Moldorm Cave now on GamerCal's screen, so called because of, well, all the Mini Moldorms. And we're using the bee to knock him out. So he got the ball that had the bee to help with the Mini Moldorm Cave. Good strategy there. The bee, unfortunately, seems to have passed away. Moment of respect for the bee.
And Asder, the first one to actually go into the Dark World, missing some of the items, like some of the safeties, doesn't have a weapon that some of the other players have, but it'll be interesting to see how this route plays off and what the difference is here.
Now, the only part, we are actually able to review the spoiler log for this race today, so we got a chance to look at it ourselves for a few minutes. I can tell you that there is a reason that Asder is here. There is something he is going after here. I'm not going to reveal beyond that. Feel free to speculate and chat on that, or if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to take guesses to what's in here. That may or may not be the item. That's one item, yes.
GamerCal, looks like a lot of people doing this fake flipper screen transition to the Witch's Hut. Pink Kitty Rose just got it in like one seamless shot. GamerCal used the bomb lineup. Seeing a lot of interesting strats here for this sequence break.
Kitty Rose heading back to Sanctuary after save and quit, looks like. Heading back outside. And notice that Asder just picked up the hook shot. There's that important item that I was referencing in Skull Woods. So most likely he's looking at routing in somewhere the flippers to make his way to Swamp Palace, or he may even be looking just at going to Dark Death Mountain for some items up there. Now keep in mind, we just reviewed spoiler log in ourselves. We don't memorize every single item ourselves, and we don't want to reveal everything on the broadcast right away. We want to leave a bit of a surprise for you as well.
So Mini Moldorm Cave was the RNG was particularly trolly today. People trying to kill them with bombs. Wolfman also had some bad RNG and actually ended up running out of bombs, so he had to reset there to give us another shot.
And Asder's making the trip up to Death Mountain, so he's now the runners obviously will know where the lamp is, but if they're comfortable without using the lamp, they're not going to get it. They're just going to do the rooms in the dark if they know how to do it. And a lot of runners at the top level will be able to do that. So that's exactly what Asder is doing right now.
Pink Kitty Rose and GamerCal are on the same route, kind of basic same route as Asder did. It looks like we're all on the same route here. We're just choosing to do some of the things where the order doesn't really matter in slightly different order. So it might appear that Asder's ahead, and in some ways you could say he is, but also there are other progressive items that people have chosen to route in earlier. So we'll just have to see how this pays off, and he's just a little careful here.
Now it looks like Wolfman just picked up the Ice Rod. He's our third rare to do so from Mini Moldorm Cave. And Pink Kitty Rose already picked up the Master Sword, whereas Wolfman has not routed in any swords yet. So this is going to be an interesting mix of, or interesting to see between Wolfman and Pink Kitty Rose in particular, which strategy ends up paying off. And Pink Kitty Rose getting her hook shot.
So, you're 10 minutes in, and look at how much progress you've already got. Like, you have Dark World access, you're going to the east side of Death Mountain, and, let me just tell you, your heart is racing a million miles an hour. This is, the most stressful way that you could choose to play Link to the Past Randomizer. It doesn't help that you have constant access to the spoiler log. So you feel like, and it's true, that you need to keep searching through the log as you play, because the 15 minutes were definitely not enough to tell you everything you need to know. Like
No,
boss
it is
heart
not.
containers, armor, like all this other stuff that's not essential for your route. You're like trying to frantically search while you save and quit and stuff.
Yeah, it's what you're going to find the runners are often doing is looking through the overworld locations in particular, because there are certain ones, especially Sphere Zero locations. And what I mean by that is locations that are available right at the start of the game. You don't have to do anything to be able to get to them. So being able to figure out which of those locations you need to go to. For example, the back of Lion's Hut, the runners got a couple safeties there, for example. Some of them wanted that. Some may not want that. The Moon Pearl from the back of Escape. Runners who might normally put off going to the back of Escape for a while, or the Uncle area, they're not putting it off today. They know they need that Moon Pearl from back there. So some runners will look at certain items that they feel they need to have early to be able to make good progression. Other runners will look at certain locations, especially out-of-the-way locations. Some might just look for swords so they have easy combat and then just reference the rest as they go. So 15 minutes is definitely not enough to route everything. I certainly didn't get everything in 15 minutes. I can tell you that. There's a lot I don't know about this seed, but there are a few things I did pick up that are interesting about how this seed is to be routed, and I'm sure the runners have picked up on that as well. Very, very interesting. Going to be interesting to see what's done here today. You may have noticed, by the way, the bow was on the Zora ledge. So that's where our all-important bow is, and Azur's coming up here for sure to get that. Will he stop at Zora? We're going to find out. He doesn't have the money, so I'm going to suggest no, he's not worried about Zora. I will reveal at this point, I did look that item up. It is 3 bombs on King Zora. It would have been an explosive lesson today.
Yeah, it would have been funny if you'd routed that in, like, you're in here, you didn't look at the log, and then you end up getting 3 bombs in a spoiler race.
Yep.
Yeah, there is a couple of major trolls. Trolls work differently in spoiler races than they do in normal races, right? Like, you can look ahead, and if there's some crazy item like Canis Samarian, Misery Mire, or whatever, that's not going to be the kind of troll that's going to catch you out in a spoiler log. But there are particular ones that really mess you up in spoilers. For example, if the GT Big Key is right side Ganon's Tower, a lot of people won't even look for that until they're heading up to Ganon's Tower, at which point they might have already passed by the Cane of Samaria if it's not already required for the seed. So that particular troll is not in this seed, but there is a big troll that is a spoiler-specific troll, and I'm wondering if it's going to catch people out. I really hope it doesn't.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it offhand. Like, again, this is just an experiment. We're not decided whether we're going to actually have commentary, normally have access to spoiler logs. We're trying it out as administrators of the tournament ourselves to see how it works out. So we're trying to keep you in the loop as much as we can without spoiling everything completely.
Yeah, the idea is that in the tournament setting, we're going to invite the participants to watch the restream, which is not normal. In this case, I don't know that any of the runners are watching the restream. I'd be surprised if they were. But in the tournament setting, we're trying out, like, okay, well, we don't want to reveal too much in case that helps the runners by reminding them to look at some item in the log.
And Wolfman picks up his hook shot. He is the last of our 4 runners on the restream to do so. Takes an intentional dirt nap there. I mean, why not? You got a nice boing item. Good time to take a nap. I noticed that even though he does have the mirror, he chose to take the route where he took the intentional death anyway. That was to get his health back. He could have mirrored out if he chose to, but he wanted to get his health back, so he didn't take unexpected death somewhere in the overworld on his way. And notice we have the boots in Hype Cave. That's an item. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
The boots is an item that I think, and I'm just speculating here, but I figure that's going to be an item that runners immediately look for anytime they do a spoiler log race, a spoiler open race, because what's going to happen is they want to be able to go as fast as possible. Having those boots helps them go as fast as possible. So if those boots are readily available early, they're going to try and find the route to get to those if they can.
Yeah, interesting that, we have a little bit of divergence here in that regard too. Pink Kitty Rose and GamerCal deciding to finish out Thieves Town before going down there, which in this case, without the hammer yet, we don't know where that is yet. Hype Cave is a little bit more distant, and so they're thinking, that you have to make this mental decision. Do I gain more time by picking up the boots first? being able to dash through Thieves Town, or is it more efficient for me to do it now?
And this is one of those things that you normally wouldn't think about playing normal randomizer because you don't know where anything is. Those boots could be in Gan's Tower for all you know. So that's something you normally don't think about. But when you actually have the log to show where everything is and you have that decision to make, it really tests your knowledge of the game, your execution, your route planning. It really is a test of playing randomizer on a completely different level. And notice that Gamer Calme and Pink Kitty Rose both chose to pick the safety item, the blue mail located here in Thieves Town. So they have both picked that up. Asder and Wolfman, well, Asder's not there yet, but Wolfman has chosen so far not to get it.
Yeah, pro tip, if you're going to try to run a spoiler race, prioritize the mail over any other safety because it essentially doubles your hearts.
Indeed, and if you get both pieces of mail and they're both readily available, you can quadruple your health immediately. Now that can be bad in the event that you know the mirror is not readily available. You would have to get yourself to die in much harder. It would be harder to die, in other words, because you have 4 times the health. But so sometimes you may want to route mail differently based on if you know you have to take death warps at certain points. But once you get the mirror, if you have the 2 shirts, that gives you a ton of health. There's that big key for Palace of Darkness. Now, because there's so many keys in Palace of Darkness is one of those dungeons that most of the time runners are still going to have to open a lot of chests in anyway. This is one dungeon in particular that is important to route a certain way, and I can also confirm there is at least one important item in Palace of Darkness as well that runners will be looking for. Azur has decided he wants to get that, and I have a feeling there is a routing decision really behind this, which I will talk about once we see him pick up that item. Pink Kitty Rose is doing the blind fight. Gamer Cal is taking the maiden up, who is going to turn into blind. Spoiler alert. Wolfman did pick up his blue maiden. And there's the fire rod for Asder. So my suspicion here for the routing is that he's planning to route over to Skull Woods and do that in Thieves Town at the same time, which is why I believe he came here first.
Oh, that's an interesting decision. And there are the silvers, too.
Yep, silver arrows were also in Palace of Darkness. So that's an item that, while it may, if it's out of the way, runners may not waste the time going for it because the difference in time compared to doing the Ganon fight without silvers kind of doesn't make up for it. But if it is along the way, in this case it's not too far away, it's definitely worth picking up. And Asder is pausing, taking a look at the spoiler log to find out, does he need to be in this area? He's decided to go ahead and do the Dark Maze, so I believe there is something else in here he is looking for. I don't see what that item is based on the visibility on stream.
It was a sword upgrade.
That was a sword, okay.
So we've seen the location of all 4 swords at this point. They've been routed in some way or another by one of our 4 restream runners.
And we have 3 runners already on Temper Sword. Wolfman's on his second sword. So, as you see, they have determined which swords they want to pick up. They may, if they see the Butter Sword along the way and they know it's along the way, they may pick it up. But otherwise, they're good to go for the Ganon fight in terms of, especially in Azur's case, because he has Temper Sword and Silver.
So Pink Kitty Rose Gamer Cow on a very similar route here. Like if you just look at the progressive items and the dungeons they've completed, Pink Kitty Rose is maybe like a minute ahead of Gamer Cow, if indeed they are on the exact same route, which it looks to me like they are. But Azur has really taken a very different route. It looks like Wolfman might be on a similar one to Pink Kitty Rose as well.
Based on what I've seen, I like this routing. Again, I'll explain it later on, but I like this routing to a certain extent because he wanted to get the Fire Rod as his entry key to come into Ice Palace for a very important item that is in Ice Palace that we will see later as well. Or right now. There's the hammer right there in Ice Palace, and that was the item he came in for. Now he's going to be able to go ahead and clear Ice Palace, I believe, with his current payload. So he will be able to go down to Cold Stair, light it up, and get out of here with the crystal as well.
So we're just about 20 minutes in, and if we're thinking about go mode, what we're missing at this point, I mean, I guess it's just desert access that we're missing at this point, right?
Desert access is necessary for a crystal in there. That is correct. That would require either the Book of Medora or the, and they already have the mirror, so they would need the flute. Those are two things that are still missing for desert access. Tower of Hera, they have the mirror, they can get to Tower of Hera. They have the hammer. In Azra's case, he can go the other way as well with the hook shot. So he can definitely do Tower of Hera. Sorry, just lost train of thought for a second. Which one we're trying to do next? Palace of Darkness is the next. He already did a lot of the work in there, but he needed the hammer for Helmstar King, which is why he left. It's not completed yet. He has to go back to do that. That is the forced double dip the way he did it.
Asder, on his last heart here, he's to fish for some hearts to try to do the Ice Palace bomb jump. He can't just go through the dungeon normally because he doesn't have the Cane of Samaria.
Correct.
But it looks like he's going to bail and say, I'm going to come back later. I think that's a good choice in this case. Don't waste time. Try to get it anyway.
Ice Palace on 4 hearts is difficult. I like the idea to route in Ice Palace the way he did, but Ice Palace on 4 hearts is absolutely tough. I would try to route in another couple hearts before going to a dungeon like Ice Palace or even Turtle Rock to give just a little bit of extra health to work with and a little more security in the fight. He also still hasn't done Thieves Town, so he hasn't picked up his blue mail yet. So he's going right to Village of Outcasts. He's probably going to pick up the blue mail as extra security in Thieves Town while completing Thieves Town, our last runner to do so, and then he's going to go right up to Skull Woods with that Fire Rod. As Gamer Cal is on his way to Palace Darkness right now, he's going to get his Fire Rod while he's here. And Pink Kitty Rose already inside.
Wolfman showing us a check we haven't seen yet here above the graveyard ledge.
I actually didn't catch what this item is, so I'll take a look at this one myself with everyone else here. The item that we have on the graveyard ledge is the lamp. There we go. So there's your logical tie-in. The lamp is in here, and that opens up all the dark rooms, logically. As we're getting his blue mail, so everyone has a nice new shirt now.
So it looks like Wolfman was waiting to do the Death Mountain Ascent for that lamp. Now he's going to go up there. He's very close by with that mirror too, so you don't lose much time by doing this now or later. And the main item that he's looking for on Paradox Cave, we've seen this already, is the flippers. Of course, there's a sword upgrade up there as well. So until he gets those flippers, he doesn't have access to the east side of the Dark World, logical access, or to Ice Palace.
I wonder if he's going to do Tower of Hera as well while he's up here, because that would make it almost makes sense that he could take that out while he's up here too. But again, there's may or may not be important items in Tower of Hera, and that may be part of the routing as to why he may not have done that yet, or why he may not do that yet.
Yeah, if it was just if all that was there was a crystal, then of course the ideal thing would be to do it as you're opening up Ganon's Tower. That's always
exactly
the speedrunner's dream, right?
That's exactly correct. It's the best 2 dungeons to do last, if possible, are Tower of Hera and then Turtle Rock, because those are both on Death Mountain.
So Pink Kitty Rose going out of her way to get that gold sword. So for a runner like Pink Kitty Rose, it's not going to save her any time on Ganon, assuming she can get the one-on-one, which I've seen her do before. So it's mostly going to be useful on other bosses, like maybe Vitreous, although she has silver arrows, maybe Cold Stare.
Also, Wolf is cleaning out Paradox Cave right now, getting some heart pieces and other goodies while he's here, not just the sword. It's extra money, and there's those flippers. Pink Kitty Rose going over to Ice Palace. And does have that fire rod, and will be able to get inside. Has 5 hearts, so is slightly better off than Asder was coming in here.
Oh,
And
no.
Asder takes a death on blind. Ouch.
Yeah, luckily, when you die to blind, you only lose like under a minute in the time that it takes you to walk back there. But of course, it's never fun, and especially in a spoiler race, you know, you feel like every little tiny mistake matters, and then when you die, you're like, you know, it's the worst thing ever.
Wolfman doing the back of escape right now. Bombs the hole, and we've already seen this, but we'll just look at his items again. There is the map in the middle chest. There's his half magic. He wanted the safety of the half magic. I never noticed the blind pun for the day, so I don't think we're going to get to see it now because I never noticed it.
We could always just make one up and pretend like it was the pun.
Ice Palace is a cool dungeon, yes?
There you go.
Okay, there. Done. We're down to 1 heart again. Beep, beep, beep.
I would have appreciated it if it was the blind run pun.
Maybe it was, we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Apparently, according to Chad, it was not a good physicist, got no fusion. So
Oh my god,
Rose,
look at this sync. Pink Kitty Rose and Gamer Cow.
Yeah, but I'm just about to comment on them myself. They're both going through Ice Palace right now. They're both after... and again, we remember that Asder did take death, I believe, in here, but they got the hammer already. They're going to go ahead and head down to Colster. And I lied, Asder didn't die. He bailed out.
Right after that bomb jump, yeah.
Correct.
We're trying to do that bomb jump. Yeah, I think Gamer Cow made up some time by not picking up the sword in the Dark Maze, which is why he's much more even now to Pink Kitty Rose than he was a moment ago. But he could lose a lot of that time even, because this is one of the fights that you can gain time with the Butter Sword. It'll be interesting to see here.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that works out in terms of the actual time difference, both before and after, to see where the advantage actually lies. This could actually lead to some thoughts on other routing decisions in regular randomizer. If you see, when runners see how certain decisions play out, it may change how some other aspects of randomizer in the future as well. We don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what happens as a result of this tournament.
And that's Cold Stare for Pink Kitty Rose already. Gamer Cow missing a few Fire Rod shots, which isn't helping here. But then, of course, he also doesn't have the Butter Sword. But also takes down Cold Stare. I would say in the end, you know, Gamer Cow's not ahead, but he made up time, at least if we just consider this fight, by skipping the Butter Sword.
Gamer Cow, she actually did get the Coaster right in the corner, all 3 eyes, and just knocked him out instantly. From what I saw, I took a quick look at the replay to confirm that. She got it all knocked out very quickly, whereas Gamer Cow's eyes all got away, and that's why it took Gamer Cow quite a bit longer to take out the Coaster.
Yeah, using that like NMG speed strat that goes a lot faster when you have the Butter Sword too.
It does. And Asder takes out the big bug, first of our runners to do so.
It looks like some divergence here between PKR and Gamer Cow. PKR going back for the finish on Pod, which is a crystal. While Gamer Cow, I'm not quite sure where he's going to go. Looks like maybe Swamp.
Yeah, it looks like Swamp Palace. He does have Gamer Cow does everything he needs to be able to complete Swamp Palace, it looks like. Now, one thing that we don't get to see in the spoiler log races, as we don't get to see map checks because the runners already know where all the pendants and crystals are, they already got them on their trackers. We don't get to see all the hints either. So obviously, in normal randomizers, you would see hint tile as part of Swamp Palace. Once Gamer Cow walks into the main Swamp Palace, you would normally see him take a right and click and check the hint tile there to get some information. The runners aren't checking any of those hint tiles today. We're not going to get to know any of the joke hints or anything else that's going on in the scene.
PKR going beam. switch flip. It does save time if you can do sword beams over like having to do an extra item to the bow.
Oh, look at the sync on GamerCal and Azure. They're not too far apart right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, progression-wise, they're pretty similar too, and dungeon completion-wise.
And there's the item for Swamp Palace. It's gotta be Kane. In Swamp Palace, the map chest I read that was. And that was, I think that's the only key item that was in this dungeon, but I may be forgetting something else. So we'll see if they go to pick up anything else.
Yeah, there is one more, I believe.
Oh, there is one more? Okay, I may have forgotten that. Wolflake is checking Catfish, and I didn't see if there was anything on Catfish or not, so let's see what he finds here. It is a heart container. He's looking for some extra health, it looks like, to be able to help with the surviving some of these battles. So not as confident in his low health fighting, it looks like.
Yeah, it's always like a question, you know, like you're gonna route in containers, and it's just a question of how far out of your way do you feel comfortable going. Because if you know that you need the health, you should absolutely go out of your way and grab it, because it's much faster to do that than it is to die, you know, especially if you die multiple times.
I find it interesting they went after the Catfish one particularly. That one is extremely out of the way. Maybe he wrote, I'm guessing, I didn't catch his exact writing. I'm guessing he wrote that in with the check on the witch, so he must have done those two at the same time.
I thought the witch was one of the gloves.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, he couldn't have gotten here. Yeah, he did go out of his way then. He did completely go out of his way.
Yeah, sometimes there just aren't good heart containers on the way. You know, like if you know, well, I need, you know, 8 hearts, blue mail when I do Ganon, you just gotta get those hearts wherever they are.
So Pink Kitty Rose knocks out her third crystal, I believe I'm seeing here on that. Pink Kitty Rose did also clear Palace of Darkness, which she just did, actually. So that's 3 dungeons clear there. And we have 2 dungeons clear for both Azure and GamerCow, and Wolfman trailing with 1 on our race stream. Of course, there are a number of other racers in this race, being one of our open to everyone daily races. So there are other runners in this that we are not seeing. We don't know how they're doing in comparison. This is what we see on the race stream.
Alright, Azure picking up the big key, so is GamerCal. All the way over there in the vanilla big key chest, left side swamp.
This immediately begs the question, is there something in the big chest of Swamp Palace? Because you do not need that key to get to Argus. No, wait, I take that back. You do need the big key for Argus, don't you?
No, you don't. No, it is a key.
No, you don't. I was right. I was right the first time. I was second guessing myself for a moment. But yes, no, you don't need the big key to get to Argus. So what's in the big chest today? Bombos Medallion. And as we mentioned at the start of the seed, that is what you need to get into Turtle Rock. So Turtle Rock is now available with the King of Samaria, the Fire Rod. They can pretty much go to town on that if they want to.
And that's why the pod double dip was absolutely required. No matter what you did, you either had to get the Fire Rod inside. Well, you had to either double dip pod or double dip ice, because you had to get the Fire Rod. Well, I don't think you could have double dipped. Never mind. You had to double dip pod. Get the Fire Rod in there, because the Bombos was in Swamp, which was hammer locked by the hammer in Ice Palace.
Exactly. You need the Fire Rod. Now you couldn't have gone to Ice Palace without getting that Fire Rod out of Palace Run. So the double dip was absolutely required.
So Pink Kitty Rose, just starting the Swamp Palace dungeon as GamerCal and Azure are finishing it, but she does have the advantage of having finished Helma first, so she does have quite a lot of dungeon left since she has to go left side, you know, get the chest, all that. I don't really know how she is, I mean, I would bet that she's slightly ahead, but it's hard to tell by how far. But yeah, it's really interesting, like with the variations in route here between Azure and then PKR and GamerCal's route, the fact that they are so close, you know, so in sync is just so cool.
Yep, and they do have the different dungeons cleared. We have Skull Woods for Azure, and we have Ice Palace for GamerCal. So Azure's going to have to eventually make the way back to Ice Palace. Already has the hammer, but just to get Cold Stare beaten, he's going to have to go back to do that. So remember, Azra already did pick up the hammer from Ice Palace. That's a little. He does have to still visit the room to get around that one circle, but he can otherwise skip everything.
Hey, Asder is here in the chat. I love it.
Oh, hi, Asder.
I love it. When can we do this? When can we chat with our runners who are here? You're doing great.
You don't get to do this in a normal randomizer race, ladies and gentlemen. Asder is at least with us in the chat. Our other runners may be as well, so I don't know. Well, we can ask them later if they're not. But yeah, that is perfectly allowed today.
Yeah, we'll just have to be careful as commentators not to get too far ahead of ourselves in case we end up accidentally reminding people to get stuff.
Exactly. And just to clarify what he mentioned for those watching on our VOD on YouTube, he was talking about his nerves getting to him on somewhere in the chain there.
Yeah, I don't blame them. This is one of the most, like I've said a billion times already, this is one of the most nerve-wracking ways you can decide to play randomizer.
It is. So Azra is back at Ice Palace right now, is going to go clean up Cold Stare now that he has a couple extra hearts to work with, and he can probably do that bomb jump with a lot more health to spare.
GamerCal already back on Turtle Rock. Oh, I forgot about this. This was, I guess, a difference between Asder and GamerCal I'd forgotten about. He does have the Skullwoods dungeon already finished as well. It's really hard to tell like who might be ahead of who at this point, which you wouldn't expect that in a spoiler race. Like if you haven't played one or seen one, you would think it's linear, but it really isn't.
You would think it would be, but certain items being in certain locations, it can be linear if it's one of those seeds that you have to go to a certain place and you have to go to a certain chain to do everything, like most Nintendo Zelda games. Then that may be the case, but if you, depending on the item distribution, you could have 5 or 6 or 7 different ways to route the seed, and the goal is to figure out what the best routing is. And that's where the challenge really comes in with this kind of seed. Now, you're noticing GamerCal is going to the Fire Rod Lock side here, either for keys or for important items. In this case, there's the Book of Medora. That opens Desert Palace. And that is enough for GamerCal right now. At this point, I will reveal that the flute is also in Turtle Rock. So no matter what, Desert Palace access required Turtle Rock.
Yeah, which is what necessitated that left side swamp check from everybody here. Folks asking in chat what the spoiler race is. So just for folks who are joining us, the idea here is all the runners got to look at the log 15 minutes before the race starts. They can continue to look at the log throughout. They have 15 minutes to find the items they want, plan their route. At the 15-minute conclusion, they may start the race and begin to run. And the whole goal is just as normal, defeat it as fast as possible, but now you know where everything is.
And Azra completes the Cold Stare fight. Lots of health to spare this time. Had four, it looks like 4 hearts left there, so very good fight. And Pink Kitty Rose takes out Argus.
So one target that I hear a lot for spoiler races is you're kind of shooting for sub 1 hour. Like we normally think of randomizers as sub 2, but sub 1 is kind of the goal here, but it really depends on variations of seeds and stuff. If you can sub 50 a spoiler race, then you've gotten both a nice seed and also you did very well. In this case, I don't know. I mean, even sub 1 could be difficult because of where items were. Like, look at GamerCal and Pink Kitty Rose, for instance. The dungeons they've completed, the progression they have. There's still quite a bit to do left.
Absolutely, and while they don't have to clear Misery Mire completely, they may have to go in for something aren't going to talk about that yet. But while they don't have to clear Misery Mire completely, we know that they had to go into Turtle Rock, for example, to get to Desert Palace. So the interesting thing about the routing here is that we only picked up the book. We did not also pick up the flute. That tells me that GamerCal is not planning to go to Misery Mire, which may lead to the possibility that there may not be anything in there. So Gamercal uses one of the cutscenes in the game, moving a wall. Apparently lighting torches moves a wall. Don't ask me why Nintendo decided that's the case. That's just the case.
Oh, is that not how it works in your home?
I've never moved a wall with candles.
Uh-oh. Huh. Must be like a West Coast thing, I guess.
East Coast, but yeah.
No, I mean like out here on the West Coast.
Oh.
All around, candles. Yeah, it's just so interesting. Chat's saying this too. Very hard to say who's winning. Pink Kitty Rose, we're kind of retreading ground, except for Gamercal, who's doing a dungeon we haven't seen yet. But also, you know, not conclusively ahead of Pink Kitty Rose because she has finished Palace of Darkness. And Asder as well. It's really hard to gauge, like, if and how much these runners might be ahead of each other. I don't think we're going to get a really good idea until we're, like, heading to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, it's really once you get to Ganon's Tower and you see where you can see all the execution in Ganon's Tower side by side, or in some cases a little bit ahead of each other. That's where you really get an idea of where their decisions end up coming in. By the way, Wolfman leaving Jeremiah is sitting there in the Dark World. Sorry, Jeremiah. Apparently, we're not picking you up today. So, but yeah, with all divergent routing and knowing where everything is, everyone's just got their specific plan. It would be absolutely amazing if the runners were just all of a sudden converge on Ganon's Tower all at the exact same time.
It is totally possible. All right, PKR going up to Death Mountain for what I can only assume is going to be her Desert Palace access.
That makes sense to me. And because the book was the earlier access, I don't expect any of the runners to really waste their time going after the flute, unless they feel they need something out of Misery Mire, which at this point I can assume we don't.
Yeah, just looking at, I don't think it's revealing much of anything to just look at everybody's trackers here, and we can finish all the crystals.
Exactly. In fact, I guess you could probably say that we're in no mode right now in terms of what's been shown.
Yeah, in fact, Gamercal, I think, is in go mode.
Exactly.
Oh, gets picked up by a hand right as we talk about him.
Now, the question in chat, is this a double dip Turtle Rock seed? I don't believe it's actually a double dip Turtle Rock. Gamercal just knew that and again, any runner who noticed Turtle Rock will know that you had to get either the book or the flute from Turtle Rock, and the runners are most likely, in most cases, going to choose the book as their choice to get a Desert Palace. So what you're going to find is that they go up to Turtle Rock, then they leave. So it's not a required double dip. They could complete Turtle Rock while they're there, just get it all out of the way. But what runners are most likely doing is routing in Turtle Rock, then Tower of Hera, then Ganon's Tower, in that order. Actually, you know what? I take that back, because Turtle Rock is a pendant. They don't even have to go back to Turtle Rock. I completely forgot that. They don't have to go back. The only way that would be the case is if there were something on the pedestal. And this is another hint, by the way. If you see runners completing pendants that they otherwise know they may not have to clear otherwise, because there's not an important item on the boss, that could be a sign the pedestal has something on it as well. So let me actually find out today, because I think we can confirm at this point that there is nothing on the pedestal that the runners would possibly want.
Yeah, since Gamercal's in go mode, I think we're fair game here. As long as we don't mention where safeties are, I think...
Exactly. But just taking a look at... there it is. The pedestal actually has a unique item on it today. I'll tell you what, I'll keep it secret for now.
Yeah, one of the hints, I hope one of the hints in this game, you know, if you had actually checked a hint out, would be the Master Sword pedestal has a unique item.
That would be absolutely hilarious if that was a hint in this seed.
So, chat asking why everyone grabbed Ice Rod. Well, Ice Rod was in sight of Mini Moldorm Cave which they had access to very early on. So my guess is 2 reasons. One is it's a projectile weapon that they would have had earlier than any other projectile weapon. Another is they were just in Mini Moldorm Cave already, and they didn't think, they didn't have really time to look at the log and see what all the 5 items were, and just decided, I need something in there, I'm going to open up all 5 chests. But very often you get surprised, like with a boss heart container or a mail upgrade you didn't think to look for. So it's a totally legit spoiler run strategy to just open up all the chests in a place like that.
And it only takes about a second or two. And yes, races can be decided by a second or two. This is absolutely true. But sometimes it just pays off to, instead of wasting 10 seconds trying to figure out, okay, I need to make sure I open the 4th chest in this group. Let's just open all 5 and use that 4 seconds that way instead. So as we're getting into Desert Palace himself, he does have 5 crystals himself, as does Pink Kitty Rose. Gamer Cal sitting on 5 as well, and Wolfman is still trailing the pack a little bit at 2.
Yeah, Gamer Cal, Pink Kitty Rose. So there's. I would say that we can say that PKR is a little bit ahead of Asder at this point because she's almost on Landmo and they have the same Crystal Dungeons done, same closeness to progression. Mm-hmm. But between Gamercal and PKR, she's actually in the boss fight. Gamercal's on the way, so I think she's got a slight lead over Gamercal as well.
It is a slight lead at this point. Both runners still have to do Tower of Hera, and for both of them, this will be their final dungeon that they have to do in order to get to Ganon's Tower. And it's going to be so quick going from Tower of Hera to Ganon's Tower. In a spoiler, in any seed, if you can do Tower of Hera last, you will do Tower of Hera last. You don't often get that in Randomizer because runners end up deciding they have to look for an item. And you know what? Tower of Hera is there. I can access it. I'm going to check it. But in this format, if you know there's nothing important in Tower of Hera, you don't have to waste the time going there, and you can just save it for the last dungeon. And it looks like Pink Kitty Rose is now heading up to that aforementioned Tower of Hera. And while we're not going to be playing the Big Key Guessing game through the bot, we will be doing it at least through our own, just a little having fun with it. And a lot of chests are going to get skipped, so you may not want to go for as high as 22 today when we do that.
Yeah, it might be 1. Well, it's not going to be 1. It depends on what kind of keys are required, right? But small keys.
It's probably going to be somewhere from 1 to 10 is what my guess would be.
Yeah, I wouldn't guess too much higher than 10. I just want to comment on, so Pink Kitty Rose obviously ahead here. Asder lost, I would say, like at least a minute, maybe close to 2 minutes because of that Ice Palace bomb jump. So I just am trying to compare their routes here because he had the weird route. And I think that he would have been at the same pace of PKR, maybe even slightly ahead, if it wasn't for that bomb jump, which is not to make anybody feel bad about anything. I just want to celebrate the weirdness of his route and how cool that was.
How cool that was. I appreciate your pun, sir.
Oh, I did not mean that pun. Ooh, Wolfman showing off a cool tech. He's conserving some magic here by using his sword beams to pretend like they are fire rod beams. So you can see he has a quarter of his half magic bar left, which should not be possible right now.
So Asder's on his way up to Tower of Hera as well. Going to be our set. Well, either Asder or Gamercow will be our second runner up there. I think Asder has an edge on Gamercow getting up there right now. Actually, no. Gamercow is at Turtle Rock. Gamercow is ahead getting up there. So Wolfman is still a little bit behind, working on only 3 crystals right now. Still has a little bit of work to do before he can go up there himself. But our other 3 runners are all going to be in Tower of Hera at the same time. Pink Kitty Rose on the boss fight, the other 2 about to enter. Now keep in mind, in this format, the runners are trying to get to Ganon and trying to make bacon as quickly as possible here. Now, none of our runners have picked up the red mail, so I'm going to assume that the other mail upgrade is in an out-of-the-way location, possibly Misery Mire, somewhere like that. I can look that up later, in fact. But the runners not having the red mail tells me that either they're happy with the blue mail or they've decided the red mail is not worth picking up today, and as a result, they're not going to be getting that.
Yeah, it kind of drops off a little bit after red mail, too. Like, blue mail is basically twice as much. if you go from blue mail to red mail, you get 1.5 times as much because it basically like reduces damage by 1/3 on most enemies.
Oh, it's a third. I thought it was 4 times. Okay.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, and then the swords are the ones that usually double, but mail does like half and then third for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you can have like fractions of a heart. You know, there's not just half a heart. You can have quarter heart and also third heart damage, I believe. Anyway, weird technical stuff. Pink Kitty Rose opening up Ganon's Tower at 50-12, just about.
I appreciate the 11, but I don't think we're going to get to 11 today. I'm not even going to say 11 myself, even though I say always 11, always. We'll probably see it on... I didn't look at Ganon's Tower at all because I want to keep that a little bit of a surprise for myself, too. I'm going to say probably about... Let's call it 3.
Well, we've seen one item. That counts. Torch item.
It does count. It does count. And going straight down, not worrying about what's up top at all. Now, Pink Kitty Rose did pick up the key. Looks like from a... Oh, no, not even going to that one. So let's see which chest Pink Kitty Rose decides to go for. That's most likely the one where the big key is. There's the door that we opened going to the fire bar room. Will that be the chest that has the big key? Nope, that's just some blueberries. So that's 2.
Oh, picking up bombs and then mirroring away. So
I think that was a mistake.
Oh,
For that chest.
It could be that she got that far and realized she didn't have a key or something.
Possible. There's number 3. That's a key, so I lose now. There's another key. Yep. This is one trick that you have to remember with Ganon's Tower. You don't have to open all the chests, but you still have to get the keys. So if you know that big key is, let's just say, behind the ice Armos Knights, the Armos on Ice as I call it, you're going to still have to open a few chests to get back there because you have to get those keys.
Yeah. Oh my God. So we're at like neck and neck and neck now because of that one thing.
This is all
Astor deciding to open up the middle door. I think he's fine. Well, we're gonna find out.
Now, Gamer Cal also did not pick up any keys.
Did he not? I thought he had 2 before he came down here.
Oh, okay, I lied. Sorry, Gamer Cal's 3. You're right. Sorry, I thought I saw 1 on that. You're right. So look at the sink in the fire bar room right now. That is beautiful.
Oh my God, this is crazy! And then Gamer Cal
stops because of the bombs. So, and now we're back in sync.
As they're finishing the bomb, skipping the bomb chest. The advantages of watching the restream, folks, which your opponents have just picked up.
Oh, that had bombs? Yeah, I don't want that one. No thanks. And there's the big key. That was in Randomizer, and that's the room I usually like to put in with my number 11 as well, as we're heading straight for it. And Gamer Cal and Pink Kitty Rose both emerging on 4-2. Asder will be about 5, 6, 7 seconds behind them. Well, a little more with that menu pause there.
This is a very close race. This is all like down to tower execution, right? Like there's nothing else left.
Yeah, it's completely down to execution. They don't need to pick up anything else at this point. The Butter Sword was not in Ganon's Tower, so we know that. 2 runners have already picked it up, so Gamer Cal and Asder are going to be staying on Tempered Swords. They've determined that that's good enough for their fight. They didn't go out of the way to get the Butter one themselves. So, but when it comes down to the Ganon fight, it won't matter too much. It just matters for a little bit the odd place in combat.
Yeah, I do want to mention here, Asder did not go and grab the powder. I think, wasn't that in Blind's basement?
It was in Blind's hut.
Yeah, in Blind's hut. So, if Gamer Cal, Pink Kitty Rose ended up taking some damage up the tower, they would have that to rely on. Asder,
yeah, Asder
2 hearts
go
already.
Very... Nope, didn't.
Yeah, and even though he has the mushroom on our tracker here, he's already turned that in for one of the gloves, so he can't fake powder either.
Correct.
Which is an interesting thing to think to pick up. Like, you might route in the mushroom in a seed that didn't require it in a spoiler race just to get fake powder ability.
Yeah, that is actually something that's completely valid. You could do the same thing with a bottle in Palace of Darkness. If you know the bottles are spread out in a certain way that it's not convenient, you know there's something behind that bottle or behind that Bullock side of Palace of Darkness. You may want to get that bottle. You may want to go buy a potion. You may want to use it. You may want to use the bottle glitch to get that item and save yourself some time having to get the bow from a much more out of the way location later to get it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Asder does take a death here trying to do the tower ascent.
So that puts them a little bit behind at this point. We have two runners still making their way up, very close to each other. I think Gamer Cal is actually no, I take that back. Big Kitty Rose is slightly ahead right now.
Yeah, I was going to speculate about why he didn't stop for the fairy room, but we actually had Asder himself come in here and tell us why. He's saying he couldn't afford it. I'm guessing that's referring to the fact that he saw that he was just so close to PKR and GamerCal and knew that he would not win the race if he stopped for the fairy room.
He was gambling, and I can appreciate that. Sometimes, and this is the advantage of being able to see the restream, man. This kind of race where it comes down to execution, it can be. Some people would say it's a bit of an advantage, but at the same time, in other races where everyone knows exactly where everything is, and it's like a regular Link to the Past vanilla speedrun, for example, it's an execution decision where runners can see where someone is. Okay, I need to make a gamble if I want to win this race, and either it works out or it doesn't, and that's what Astor did here. Nothing different, perfectly valid, and appreciate the attempt. Just didn't work out for him this time. Pink Kitty Rose going through the absolute worst room in Ganon's Tower there. Makes it look easy. And we're in the geometry fight. So we're at about 56 minutes and 48 seconds right now as Pink Kitty Rose is doing that. Gamer Cow entering at 56:56 starts that fight.
Yeah, this game could be turned around by, better geometry wizard, getting a one-on-one when your opponent doesn't. It's a super close race right now.
I think I saw two doubles for Gamer Cal. That was a really good start to the fight. Let's see if it finishes. That was a blue ball. Needs one more hit. I think Pink Kitty Rose is done, so I think one more hit for Gamer Cal, and yep, both are off to the Big Pig. And Agatha was like, how did you do this so fast?
Yeah, I'm looking at the SRL, and nobody has finished yet. So these could be our first of the whole race.
We'll go ahead and keep secret in case someone does finish in the meantime. We'll keep that secret for now until we have a finisher on the restream. So, but we could be looking at a winner here for either Pink Kitty Rose or Gamer Cal. Right now, the edge going to Pink Kitty Rose.
Yeah, especially with that butter sword. Gamer Cal's got more work to do, more potential to miss the one-on-one. But looks like he's got it so far.
Yep, you got a good spot there. Oh.
Converse.
Decides he better use the cape. Down to half a heart. Has to be careful.
This looks like it might be a 1 and 2. No, he got it. He got the 1 and 1 still.
Good, good. And Ganon is now in temper tantrum mode.
Well, more like butter tantrum.
Teleporting away there. Oh, come on, Ganon, please. Take a hit already. Come on! Oh my goodness, Ganon, come on.
This is when you appreciate that randomizer races, that you have the same randomization on Ganon, on the same seed.
Now, the runners do both have silver arrows on the bottom. Wolfman doesn't have them yet. Azur does have them for his Ganon fight. Pink Kitty Rose takes out the bacon. Gamer Cow has one more hit, I believe, and two more hits, I lied, and is also done. So Pink Kitty Rose is our first runner on the restream to finish, crosses the finish line, and I can now confirm Pink Kitty Rose has finished in first place with a time, official SRL time. And this is based on the 15-minute spoiler log period of 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 18 seconds. So that's a 59:18. Wayne finishing 2 seconds behind. We're going to call that 59.20 for the same thing. And Gamer Cal with a 59.27. Get your GGs in chat for all three of them.
What a crazy finish. Spoiler races, ladies and gentlemen. And Wolfman getting his quote-unquote go mode. We were in go mode when we saw the spoiler log, but now he's got his final progression item here. He just has some bosses to finish off. I love that the final item that you get in this seed is the icon for the actual spoiler race tournament, being the Book of Medora.
Yeah, the final main item. That's absolutely correct.
Sinak, did you somehow engineer this?
Yeah, come on, Sinak, fess up. Come on. And we'll get the two runners, we'll get Gamer Kyle and Pink Kitty Rose in here right now to talk about the seed. They actually seem in set so we'll bring them in right now.
Based on my initial reading, this is why you shouldn't do these things at like 2 in the morning.
Sorry, Gamer Kyle, I kind of cut you off and dragged you in here.
No, it's fine. It's fine. 9 seconds.
Gamer Kyle, Pink Kitty Rose, GG. Good race.
My god, I almost threw that so bad. I almost threw that so bad with the left side GT screw up. But
yeah,
okay.
that was intense.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. 2.
Yeah, that was absolutely close. Wayne snuck in there and almost sniped you. You mentioned that left side against Harway went and got the bombs, and then oh no, I don't have a key, and you had to run back and get them. Gamer Cow completely caught up to you. You were in sync, heading down to the firebar room for the second time.
Nice. My execution wasn't necessarily the greatest, but I mean, John's right, but I haven't played this in a while, and I'm half delirious because it's 3 in the morning. But you know, whatever. This was fun. I like doing these, so I was like, you know what? Sure, let's go for it.
I'm sad because I got an extra cycle on Aga because I could have sworn one of those was a 2. Yeah, he even made 2 pain sounds, but nope, only counted as 1. Oh my god. Did you bother picking up Gold Sword, Cal?
No, I got the silvers, but not the sword.
I got it. I knew Cold Stare was coming up, and I had 5 hearts, so I'm just like, you know what? Let's just make the fight easy.
Fair. I did take a couple of extra safeties on stuff. I didn't use the potion that I bought. I didn't use the powder that I got. I didn't end up using most of the money wasn't really the main thing I was going for anyway, but I didn't use much of the 300 that was in the Hyrule Castle map chest I got at the start. But it was, one of those things of I figured I'm going to be super low on resources for a lot of this. I'm just going to get what I can,
I'm going to interrupt for just a second here as we just had another finish on the restream. Asder. Let's catch up the results quickly. Kyong finished with, we're going to cut off the 15 minutes. Kyong finished with a 1 hour, 48 seconds. Gerdo, I think is how you say that, finished in 5th place with a 1 hour, 1 minute, 5 seconds. Pika Pals with a 1 hour, 1 minute, 51 seconds. And Asder was 7th place with 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 51 seconds. So 1 minute behind Pika Pals. Ninban coming in 8th with a 1:02:57, 6 seconds behind Asder. And we have other finishes by Salty Fry, Chizame. And that's it so far.
Not gonna lie, feels real good to get a seed this bad within the spoiler thing and still finish somehow.
Oh my god, yes! It's mandatory
so
double dips! Into
How did-
skull words in a pod!
How did you like that Turtle Rock placement?
Oh my goodness, both of the Desert Palace access items were in Turtle Rock because the flute was in the big chest. So
Yeah, that
you
was
really
what
felt
I
like
was-
it.
That's what I was going in for. I misread it as book was in GT, so
Yeah.
I
We
was
were-
going in for the flute, and then I saw the
We were
book in there. I
playing-
was like, oh. Sorry, I'm not meaning to.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were finished. I apologize. We had the opportunity to review the spoiler log ourselves today because we were trying different ways to figure out what works for our tournament, obviously. So we decided to run this one knowing what some of the stuff in spoiler log set ourselves on the commentary booth.
Mhm.
And we were looking at the spoiler log, and I come down Turtle Rock, and we're talking in the voice call, like in the setup channel, and we're like, oh my goodness, the book and the flute are in Turtle Rock, and I hear Kern go, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that nice mandatory 3 Death Mountain climbs even in the spoiler log scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of nice because it means you can justify getting like a sword if there's one on the way.
Yeah,
Right.
and welcome and GG, by the way.
Did
Yeah,
you
welcome,
get the
Aster.
gold sword,
GG.
Aster?
What's that?
Did you get the gold sword?
No, I skipped mini Moldarm.
Oh, okay.
The only one with the shiny gold is it's because I knew the Arcutators were all placed horribly this scene, so it's just like, let's fix our defense with better offense.
It worked. By the way, Wolfman is also running on a gold sword. He picked up the gold sword as well. He's actually still got 2 more dungeons to do. He has to do Palace of Darkness and Tower of Hera. So he's just a little bit behind the rest of you, unfortunately. We are going to follow him, obviously, to his finish as well. But we can definitely talk a lot more about the scene in the meantime. How did you find that scene to your liking, Aster?
I think the seat itself was fine. Just my performance was incredibly tilting. I got really nervous when I got down to low hearts and IP, and I failed the bomb jump enough times so I couldn't survive. What I really should have done was, like, I knew the hammer was an IP, but that's all that I really had in my brain. And I knew which chest it was, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, it's very early. What I should have done was just dip out as soon as I got it. But in my mind, I was just like, okay, hammer's an IP. I have to clear the whole dungeon once I get it.
You know what? That's fair. I will admit I am bad at remembering which chest is for maps and which is for compass, so I almost thought it was in the freeze-all chest, and it was not. So I'm glad I went double-checked and went back into that room and said, wait, I don't remember which one of these it is. I better kill this room anyway. Also, shout out up to menu time, by the way. That's pretty good.
What was yours? Mine was 129.
I think it's like a 140.
A quick shout out to the pedestal. Our vampire skewer is our unique item on the pedestal. I mentioned a unique item on the pedestal earlier.
Nice.
Yeah, I think with this seed, I mean, you know, hammer in Ice Palace, and then you have to get the, the Desert Palace access inside Turtle Rock. I think it would be hard to sub to this, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But you also, like,
sub one, you
close
mean?
to 1 houred it. So, no, I mean, like, if it wasn't a spoiler.
Oh, yes.
I don't think it would be
Yeah.
that hard. I think like 150 is reasonable, but
Yeah.
I don't
But then
know,
to
you
get, like,
gotta-
close to 1 hour.
Yeah, you got to make like all the stupidest possible choices in this seed. So I don't know. I'm inclined to agree that it might be tricky to sub to for most people. Because yeah, realistically, a lot of the items are in just about the worst possible places you could have to go for them. So yeah.
Mandatory left side swamp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only that, I mean, you can go through the ordering here. You had, obviously, getting the Titansmith was a little awkward to begin with, because that mushroom is a thing, I guess. It's not
Yeah,
that
having
bad,
to-
but it's a little awkward at the very least. But then you have to go Skull Woods to get the hookshot, to go up Death Mountain to get the flippers, so that you can go get the fire rod, essentially. So, so that you can go and get the hammer, because the bombos is locked behind the hammer as well, so it's, there's such a convoluted chain to go anywhere with this. And the boots weren't in a particularly nice spot either, given that you don't have the hammer. So you couldn't even really do lots of good sequence breaking for that, because water walking was not a thing. So there were like 3 dungeons at least that you had to double dip, and that's not even considering stuff that you would probably just do along the way. Like, you would just do Tower Hera stuff. I don't know if there was an item in the basement. I didn't see that in the spoilers.
Not to mention, you gotta love how, even in the spoiler version of this, there was like a 50-50 split. Do you want the boots? Do you want to be able to see? Because whichever way you decide to route over to Bow after you got your flippers, you're either getting the boots or you're getting the lamp.
So I
So
got the-
pick one.
It's interesting that you say that, because the 3 of you picked up the boots, But Wolfman did not. He picked up the lamp.
I initially did neither. So I initially went and got the hookshot and the master sword, and then just went straight up Death Mountain so I could get the stuff up there first, and then go down Thieves Town, get the boots, then swim across. Don't know if it was really the wise way of doing it, but I figured if I'm going to have to go down there anyway, and get the bowl on the way as well, if I'm gonna have to go down to get the boots, I may as well do something productive with it and be able to continue moving there, because I don't want to have to go into the Dark World again from there, so that I can go and do Palace of Darkness stuff. So I actually put off the boots a little bit.
That was my same thoughts. I didn't pick them up until after Thieves Town as well. I think we probably routed identically.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, you guys were very similar. I mean, there was a couple of moments of divergence, but like the sync was real.
This would be a fun one to review.
Yeah. And then when it just suddenly synced up after that little mistake in Ganon's Tower, that made it really exciting for us, needless to say, because now it was a case of, okay, either of them can win now.
Oh my god, I was so mad. That's the second time I've forgotten that stupid key in the past week. It hurts. It was because I was looking at the log, because I was trying to see if there was a small key upstairs so that I could skip Hope Room. But in the process of using my brain power to read the notepad, I forgot about the thing directly in front of my face.
Yeah, I did a quick search after doing Tower Hero, getting the crystal thing out, going, right, keys here, Hope Room, 2 keys, alright, let's go. Just get them and just go. I'm not gonna bother with anything else there.
So I wanted to ask Asder about that ferry, the ferry room in G Tower. So can you tell us about what was going on with your decisions there?
I knew that 2 people were 2 people on the restream were in Ganon's Tower ahead of me, so I decided to risk not going for it. I was hoping that I would get like a decent heart drop or maybe a fairy drop or something. And I also had cape, but I'm not used to using cape, so I didn't actually use it. But I don't know if you saw in Gauntlet 3, there was that heart that I tried to hookshot, and I tried to get a double heal out of it, but I took so long trying to get it because of the conveyor that it just ended up disappearing, and I hooked the pot behind it instead.
Yeah, and then I think it ended up causing damage to put you on 1 heart.
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
I just got screwed in G4.
Yeah, that's I love that though. That's like a thing that you can do is you have permission to watch the restream, watch each other race, and you can use that information to make different strategic choices. But I would imagine that most of the time it's going to play out exactly like this. Not in terms of like whether or not it's going to pay off for you to make the gamble, but it's going to be that you're further behind for some reason or worried about falling behind. So you need to take a bigger risk to then have an opportunity to stay ahead. So I think that makes for really interesting viewing. I'm sorry it didn't work out for you this time, but I just think that was really cool that came up and that you made that choice.
I mean, it is cool. It is a risk, and part of the things about taking risks is that sometimes you're going to get burned. That's just how it is, and that's what makes them exciting.
So it makes them risks.
And I was really, really tilted by all the mistakes that I made in this seed. Like, dying to blind was just because I was tilted from having to dip out of ice earlier. And then I was even more tilted after that, so... but I'm glad that I made kind of all these mistakes, not having done a spoiler race for a while, and, before the tournament, to kind of get that stuff out of the way.
Well, we really appreciated your route. It was very different than what anybody else was doing, at least on Restream, and it seemed to be really working for you too. But yeah, it's just unfortunate all like the blind death, the Ice Palace bomb jump, and then the Ganon's Tower business.
I think it was a good route. What were the differences between others?
I can't summarize it because there's 4 screens, but you'll have to watch it back.
Okay.
So my basic summary, because I had enough time actually. I wrote a little bit of a route down, so I don't think I followed it exactly, but my basic summary was like Hyrule Castle to get Moonpub, the money, Kakariko, get the mushroom mirror, potion shop, get a bottle, had a bottle to get stuff there as well, to get mini mold on cave, to get sword, Skullwoods. I think I reversed those two, but it's like Skullwoods to get the hook shot, up to Death Mountain to get the flippers, Palace Darkness to get fire up, Ice Palace to get the hammer, Swamp Palace to get Bombos and Samaria, Turtle Rock to get what ended up being the book as opposed to the flute that I was going up for, and then just clear out dungeons from there.
So was that an accident then? Like you were going to check for keys in the firebar room and you accidentally
Pretty
got
much.
the book? Wow, that's pretty great.
I think so. My thought was I'd already checked that Big Key was vanilla, right? I'd already noticed that in the initial 15 minutes. So my idea was that I hadn't seen where all of the small keys were, but I knew I didn't have to go too far into the dungeon, so I didn't need, say, all 3 of them that you could get near the start. I only needed 2. So I was like, well, if both of those chests are small keys, then I can probably just ignore everything else and just go straight for the flute from there. And then I got the book, and you probably saw I was a little bit confused with a set. I was like, wait, isn't that go mode now then? Like, I think I stopped for a couple of seconds because I was just about to dash back down, and then I was like, wait, hang on a sec, that works too. But I didn't think that was in... whatever, just go.
Oh my god. I was getting a bit of a chuckle, because at the start of this race, you could tell that my brain was just not on. It was still in scrambling through the spoiler log moment, and so I did things like not even entering the right place by the lake to get my bombs. And, oh my god, those mini mold arms in Mini Mold Arm Cave, they were fueled by jukes! They were fueled by jukes! Look, it took me like 6 bombs. They just would not stop dodging.
It took me about 8 issues. Plus the B.
I didn't have any issues.
Oh, except for Asder, because Asder is special.
It's pretty...
I was thinking of routing it in after around Swamp, because I was thinking, well, I'll have mirror, then I can mirror there, and I'll actually have a weapon to take care of them. And I realized, wait, I have 3 swords already. I don't need to do this.
You know what was fun though, with Aether being in there as well as the sword, I actually got to use Aether in the room in Skullwoods where you push the statue. So just before the big key chest. So I was like, right, Aether, blitz the room. I've got sword plus Aether. Just take the room out at the start, and I can push the statue in peace. So nice.
Oh my god. Speaking of Aether usage, I got the 6 turtle flip in the pod turtle room and got the Aether on all of them.
I only got 5. I got 5, but then I could stuff them on my sword, so whatever.
Boom!
I was not prepared to search a TXT file properly, so it opened in Notepad, and searching a Notepad is very, very, very bad.
That is the #1 error. Like, I haven't done one of these in forever, but my Windows is actually already... Yeah, like it has Notepad as the default, right? But if I, click the thing to the drop-down menu, it has WordPad as the thing for it in there, because I've done this a couple of times before, and yeah, you don't want to use Notepad for this. It does not format at all. Oh dear.
Yeah, I was even on the commentary end. I'm clicking on the spoiler, and I'm like, wait, why is it not working? Then I click it again, and then suddenly those 2 download links for the spoiler. I'm like, oh, I downloaded it twice. So I wasn't ready for that myself. I can understand what you're saying for that. If it were somehow open on a web page, that'd be more convenient, but I don't know if that's technically possible. That's more of a question for Synac, as he's the one who's setting up the bot.
I'm actually
Speaking
probably
of
going
Synac,
to...
just a quick... He actually fixed the spoiler logs in Notepad with the bot. I noticed that the line breaks are actually done correctly, so they do display correctly.
Yeah, my issue is just Control F only goes in one direction.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which is really, really annoying.
Yeah, you have to go home again if you want to have a new search with Control F working, or you have to decide to go backward.
Yeah, so for me in WordPad, like Control F, it will say the first time you do it, it's like spinning, checking the document or whatever. But then I check it again. I click the Find Next thing, and it just goes back up from the top, and it searches that way. So exactly. I guess WordPad still has one advantage then.
I'm just going to open the TXT in my web browser next time.
That's also
probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I'm honestly surprised that I had as much time to think of a route for this crapshoot of a seed as I did in the end, though, because I think I had everything that I needed noted down with about 4-ish minutes to spare, which is not that common for this. Normally you're scrambling through still looking for all the stuff, but I have like a page I'll be writing the stuff down on. I kind of adapted my note stuff now, so I have what crystals or pendant stuff is for all the dungeons. I didn't actually know where the big keys were this time, which is a bit unfortunate for some of the stuff, but I was having a hard time actually reading half of those, so it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Just note down where all the items were, note down like what was needed for Telerock and such. Yeah, and then it was just a case of I have like 5 minutes still somehow. Let's think of a route through this. And I was like, I'm not seeing many things in good places. What?
No, so much backtracking.
Just a quick comment on the restream. Wolfman just finished the Moldorm 2 fight, used bombos on the chest on the other side, and then walked off and left it there.
Yeah, it's just got 10 arrows in it this time, which could have been useful if you had used up all your arrows in Ganon's tower, but he's
I got him.
You got him, yeah.
I used up all my health in Ganon's tower instead.
Oh, I used up all my health on Ganon. Never mind. Else for that. Ah, dear.
I didn't have any trouble. I used cape like a sissy.
To be fair, I ended
I
up
forgot
using
about cape. I should have used cape in I should have used cape in the mimic spike room. That would have been a really good idea.
Only downside, I had sword beams for the gauntlet, and that sucks.
I had sword beams at the start of the gauntlet, and it was not fun.
I went into the gauntlet with 2 hearts my first attempt, so I don't want to hear
Like a
anything
boss.
God, the heart containers were in such terrible places. It's like, I'd love to get the one of Meyer's shed, but Meyer's a pendant.
I'm glad the heart containers are in bad places because I ran out of time to search for them.
I took a brief look and was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna get maybe 2. I got 3 in the end and like 6 heart pieces looking at this, 4 of which were semi-intentional. So yeah, I ended up with like 7 hearts blue mail for the stuff here, which was just enough, it seemed.
There was another heart container just on the other side of that locked door in Ice Palace, and I wanted it.
Oh, hey, did anyone get powder?
I did.
I did,
Yeah,
and I
almost
never
everyone
used
on
it.
restream.
Okay,
I never
because
used it once.
I ran out of time searching, and I just never ended up looking up where it was, and it was apparently really free.
It was
Blindside it.
Yeah, it was in Blind's
Oh my
hideout,
God.
and there was a bottle with a bee in there as well, which I had to use in Mini Moldon Cave. But that was convenient because, of course, I was getting the sword and stuff from there, and then going up to buy a potion as well as get Titan's Mitt. So that was great. And then I never used a potion. So
Me either.
heck yeah, useless safeties.
We got that blue potion stuffed in there, and we ended up not needing it. Although,
Let's say RIP to his bottle of Gatorade.
oh my god, this one was. This is definitely the lowest health I've had in the spoiler log scene so far.
Real.
Not for me. I've had 5 hearts blue mail in the last one of these I did, so...
I usually aim for 7 or 8, so it's not far off from what I normally at, but still kind of low.
Ooh, Wolfman going for a dangerous slash there, like head on to the fire bats. He's got 2 more arrows left. For
He
his
did get
Ganon
the
fight.
torch. He did get the torch glitch as well. It looks like so. He's good for that. And this should be it. Yeah, we're gonna be joined by Wolfman most likely very soon because he just finished the race. Let me cover some other finishes here as well. I'm not gonna go back and cover all of the finishes, but I can confirm we have. Let's see. I see Nest Kamikaze was in here. I see Hydropower was in here. I see that Shire was in here. I Am the Schwarz and a few others are in here as well. So these are all runners. Oh, Chex Human was also in here. So these are all also people who have finished their seed today. I can now confirm that Wolfman's final time in 20th place today was, and we're going to again cut off the 15 minutes in SRL, it was a 1:23:46. So get your GGs in chat for Wolfman.
So yeah, overall, not bad for being stupid o'clock and, not having played this in a while. I feel like it was alright.
And we are also joined by Wolfman. GG.
GG, thank you, and I apologize for what was a very, to borrow from the GDQ community, that was an unintentional Let's Play.
Well, you also decided, PKD Rose is talking about this a little bit in the, in the interview after the game. But, you could have decided to route maybe in two ways. One to go down to Hype Cave, pick up the boots, or the other one to go north, pick up the lamp in the graveyard lead. So I think it also didn't help, to like be missing the boots for half of the seed. So I think that's a significant portion of that chunk of time, I would imagine.
Funny story about what happened there. I had misread my notes. I thought that the boots were in Meyer's shed, and I was thinking I was going to pick up the flute from the roller room, except it wasn't the flute, it was the Book of Mudora.
Oh my god.
Oh my.
Wait, because the flute was the flute in Crystal Roller Room in Turtle?
Let me get the exact location. I have to bring up my notes.
Okay. It was a
the
big chest.
Yeah. With a vanilla
Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely the Ocarina. Obviously the inactive Ocarina was in the big chest. That was both accesses to Desert Palace were in Turtle Rock.
And so I accidentally turned this into a bootless, fluteless seed. Hope you enjoyed, folks.
Go for a casual stroll.
But otherwise, let's see. I tried to route some of my safeties because I know I'm not that great at this. 10 hearts was perfect for me. Once I realized I had the Book of Mudora, I was like, ooh, I can just pick up the red mail, because I have had bad Ganon falls before, and the gauntlet is not as easy as it looks. I didn't want to go in there with 6 hearts.
Definitely fair. Yep, I did note that Bombers Tablet had that, and I was like, well, guess I'm never getting that then, because Book is in GT. Oh wait, no it's not. I misread that part.
But this is definitely a very unique format. Shows that I have to work on my note-taking, but then again, I think a lot of us do.
Well, everyone is used to running seeds without having to, with the notes being based on things they find, like items in the open, for example. You find out, oh, there's something on the Lonely Island. I better write that down. I want to get that later. That's all you normally have to do for your notes. In this case, you get to learn where everything is, and if you don't want to have to search through a notepad file or however you use it every time, you have to note down exactly how you plan to route the seed as you're reviewing the spoiler log. And if you can do that all in 15 minutes, you're good to go. It's just a matter of finding enough health and enough safeties to accompany that.
Physical pen and paper. Let's go.
Exactly.
So, I admit I did use Notepad, and it worked for the most part, and I kind of realized in retrospect that there were some optimizations I could have done, like I could have gone to Catfish and then picked up the bow, for instance, but, we're all learning.
I was tempted to do that, but then I kind of figured that the way I wanted to look at it was that I wanted to still use the portal to go to Palace Darkness afterwards. So it was a case of, I don't want to run all the way up to Catfish just to get a heart container, then run all the way back down again. So I didn't end up going for that myself, but it's definitely very reasonable to do when it's a full-on heart container to get. If it was a heart piece, it'd be a bit iffy, but heart containers are pretty useful.
Yeah, and this seed, there's that new bomb jump, right, to get to the east side of the Dark World. It could have been one of those.
See something about that from you, yeah.
Well, I don't even know what that is. What is that?
I'm curious too.
It's shameless self-promotions on my YouTube channel, but it's a bomb jump. This is why we
channels.
Yeah, this is why we commentate, ladies and gentlemen, so we can get new YouTube subscribers. But it's a bomb jump that gets you over the North River crossing from the west to the east Dark World. You do a bomb jump into a fake flipper via screen transition, It's really easy to set up, actually. Anyway, I was just thinking about like that could have saved you a Death Mountain trip. So I think it was minimum 2 trips required, actually, if you could have skipped that.
Actually, that wouldn't help. Because you still needed to get the flippers to go into Swamp Palace, to get the Cane of Samaria, to get to your desert access on the next Death Mountain trip.
Couldn't you have? Oh, you're right, because Bombos was in Swamp Palace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, dang it. Oh well, rip.
Yeah.
Good idea, though.
Of course. And of course, the big key was vanilla. Seriously, I didn't want to go to West Side Swamp.
No, you go! The rest of the seed logic was terrible, so Swamp's gonna be terrible too. It's just a bunch of terrible, except we have a spoiler log, so it's great!
It was terribly great.
Yeah, I've got to say, this is the best worst seed I have played in a while, so...
top
any
3.
bad seed where you can, like, spoiler run it is, like, just the best feeling in the world, in my opinion.
It was nice that the top 3 were the ones that managed to actually do this in less than an hour, if you take off the prep time. That's kind of crazy.
I'm looking at that 59.26 on my hand going, yeah, that was pretty good. I didn't expect to sub out with this.
Feels good.
I admit I was hoping to sub 75 it, but again, I'm still learning a few things. 1, unintentional death, and again, bootless, fluteless, which just made things very unique. 7 out of 10 would run again. I still can't believe I missed the boots at Night Cave.
I was gonna say, you probably could have picked those up when you were going for Swamp, but it's fine. It's
Yeah.
easy to miss. I had to control F them, and it was like, yeah, okay, that's a reasonable spot. And then I realized, wait, but the hammer is like a million miles into the sea.
Dark World access.
Yeah, it's like you were forced to double dip pod, and then you had to choose when to go to Turtle Rock. And then even if you did get the book, you had to decide whether it was worth diving in farther to go to the flute and do the warps that way, or just save quit. This format is definitely interesting, and though I will be honest, I'm more likely just going to try to stick to being a commentator for this sort of format in the future.
That's
It's very
fine.
stressful.
So, for those that are interested in this type of thing, Cyclone, Kern, probably another good time to plug that upcoming tournament.
Oh yeah, I was actually gonna finish with since we should be probably wrapping up very soon. I see the last credits is coming through right now, actually. So we should actually, as a wrap-up question, do you all plan to take part in the tournament?
I am interested, though I wish it wasn't streaming to bloody YouTube.
Well, that's. Let me actually answer that. Just for those who are wondering in chat as well, we're only streaming the qualifier races to YouTube. Once we're done the qualifiers, everything's gonna be back on Twitch. It's only for the reason for that is because it allows us, and this is in the tournament information in our Discord for the tournament. It allows for the most fair playing field we can try to come up with for qualifier seeds that are openly available for everyone at the start, so that no one can snipe another runner's stream and get information on how they should route it based on other runners' attempt at it. So this is only for the qualifiers that's happening. Once the tournament actually gets to the bracket phase, 32 I think is what we're planning right now, then we'll get to everything back to Twitch, and we'll be having normal broadcasts on here again.
I will admit I haven't actually heard of the tournament stuff for this. I might, but my time is in the SMB3 one right now, so I might not, just because I'm already playing one
Kick some butt, Cal.
side of this. I'm 4-0 at the moment. I'm doing all right.
Whoa, nice.
And as for me, again, definitely a fun format to mess with. I'll try to join the commentators on this one. I know my general skill in Link to the Past. I mean, I've kind of demonstrated that. I talk the talk on this more than walk the walk, and I am not ashamed to admit it. At the very least, thank you for allowing me to give this a shot. I know where my skill set lies.
Well, I would say in this seed, without the boots, you definitely walked the walk this time.
Oh, the pump. I think you just got played there.
I can feel
I
the heat off that one.
That wasn't
I'm
a diss.
unsure if my slow clapping is working here.
Yes. Oh yeah, but GG's to everybody. Yeah, and we heard from everybody, right? Pink Kitty Roast, I forget, did you say if you were going to join the tourney?
I said I'm thinking about it. I'm just
Okay.
There's still lots of time. The tournament qualifiers aren't until next month anyway. I think the current plan, this may be subject to change, but right now what we've got nailed down is March 8th to March 24th is when the qualifiers would take place. And then the actual races that you will be seeing here on Speed Gaming. And I don't know if we're going to have one showing off some of the qualifiers or not, but if not, then the first races you'll see here on Speed Gaming will start sometime from April 1st. So in April, you're really going to see this tournament pick up here on the Speed Gaming family of networks. And it's definitely something for anyone viewing who may not be want to run that far out themselves, but be like watching this kind of format, watching this kind of execution. It's your chance to come see some of this played out in a tournament format, and it will be really, really exciting. If what you saw today you thought that was great, you're going to see a lot of that coming in this tournament.
the derps will hurt. There will be significant derps on all ends. In every race, it happens. The brain is thinking about too many things at once.
Such
I
is
might-
the nature. But
I might consider it. I don't know. I've definitely got a decent note set for this, so I just need to actually remember to write all the stuff down beforehand, so that categories that I need, so that I can just go straight in and not have to worry about that part. That takes a lot of time, actually. You'd be surprised how long it takes to actually organize the stuff before you get started. Don't want that eating into your 15 minutes. You've already got enough to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
agreed. Also, I gave you some derps in chat, Pink. Figured you'd appreciate them.
Thank you. Very much appreciated. So let's go ahead and start wrapping up here. I want to thank all of our runners. Again, make sure you follow all of these fine runners. And they did a great job putting on a race here today, as well as everyone else who took part in the race. GG to everyone. We are still experimenting with this format in terms of what we're going to come up with in a tournament format. It's great to have all the participation and get everything worked out before the tournament gets underway, so we can make sure everything goes smoothly for everyone when we get to that point. Also, make sure to follow our trackers who came along today to help out, Sindoris and Professional Renderer. Thank you for your assistance with tracking this very, very quick run today. And also make sure to follow my co-commentator and tournament co-admin, Kern.
Thanks. Yeah, it was wonderful commenting this today with you, Cyclone. GG's, everybody.
Likewise, if you need anything else to watch on the Speed Gaming Network, there's some Super Mario Bros. 3 randomizer going on Speed Gaming 2 and on Speed Gaming 5 right now. There's a Zelda 1 chase for sub 30. I believe this is a special event where they're just trying to get the fastest time they can. It's not actually a race per se, but more of a watch people try to get the fast times. There's some Super Metroid Link to the Past randomizer going on Speed Gaming 4 right now. In terms of what's coming up tomorrow, you're going to find more of these daily randomizer series. This is, again, still part of the daily randomizer series. Now, the one for the afternoon will not be running because there is a fall randomizer tournament. It looks like it is a game 3 of the finals is going on at 3:30 tomorrow, so the daily tomorrow will not be aired, it looks like. However, the evening daily, which is an open race, a regular open race with the spoiler log not available, will be happening at 9 o'clock tomorrow. There's also some Wind Waker randomizer, Zelda 2 randomizer, more SMB 3 randomizer, Donkey Kong Country 3 not randomizer, Portal 3. If you want more information on any of
Portal
that...
3?
Portal 2, sorry, I said that wrong. Portal 2. I gave the numbers mixed up. It's okay. Moving on.
Half-Life
Portal
3
2.
confirmed, folks.
Portal 2.
Not
Forget
to
what I said about
say it.
Portal 3. I know nothing. Anyway, all of that information is at speedgaming.org/schedule, or you can type !schedule in chat. And I don't know if it's working yet in the chat right now, but I just sent a quick message to Feasel, and we're going to get a spoiler command, an ! Spoiler command for the spoiler tournament as well. So that will be working in chat in the near future as well. That will give information on the spoiler tournament that is connected to what we're doing here today for this daily. So with that said, I want to wish everyone a wonderful night. Make sure to follow the Speed Gaming family of networks, Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 6. And you'll get anything you need for your speedrunning needs right here. A lot of great races going on here, all hours of the day. And lots of videos you can watch if you don't find something live. One of those rare times you don't find anything live. You can watch lots of videos and find any races that we broadcast. So again, I've been joined by Kern. I am Cyclone GU. And I want to wish everyone a wonderful night. May not all your seeds be pet seeds. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Watch out for Moldorm.